Hello, everybody. I was looking forward to seeing you again. Sounds strange in this medium, doesn't it? And yet it's true. And I sincerely hope that you were also looking forward to seeing me again. Before I start today's subject, I must say something else, because a friend of mine rang me only a few days ago. He had seen my video on age and aging, liked it very much, and said, "Britta, you have written a complete book on the subject. Why didn't you point that out?" Obviously, I'm not good at self-promotion, so here you are. Should you be able or willing to read German? Yes, I did write a complete book about aging not very long ago. But now for today's subject. And this subject I have been putting off for quite a while already. And that is the I was going to say, and that was wrong, I was going to say the protection of our planet. But of course, we are past protecting it. We're in the state of having to save it. That's quite different, isn't it? Let me just remind you, and I'm sure you know all this, still, let me remind you of the changes in the past 10, 15 years only on our planet, and the increase in these, both in number and also in violence of, and let me just share with you what I can think of, heat that has augmented tremendously, heat waves really, like we've never known before. Then storms, very strong ones, hurricanes, tsunami is the word, it seems, tsunamis. You know, 10 years ago, I didn't know there was such a thing as a tsunami. Volcano eruptions, droughts, the desert that is spreading, the rainforest that is disappearing, forest fires of an incredibly strength, not long ago in Australia, for example, glaciers that are melting away. What else? Earthquakes, I have forgotten, floods of incredible strength. So really, then the disappearance of species, attacks by parasites, and of course, the pandemics. And the one we're right in now is neither the first, nor is it going to be the last. And all of these tremendous changes, scientists tell us, are due to what we, human beings, have been doing to this earth in the past decades or 200 years, really. And that is not surprising. That is why scientists propose to call this age of the earth the Anthropocene, meaning the time on earth in which the impact of us human beings on the earth is enormous. That's not really to be wondered about, I think, because in 1800, so only 200 years ago, there was 1 billion human beings on Earth. Now, 200 years later, we are 7.5 billion. And if you take into consideration that the Earth has been existing for 4.5 billion years, then 200 is, of course, nothing, absolutely nothing. Unfortunately, of the complete surface of the Earth, we can only use 1/8. The rest, those who know better than I say, the rest is water, ice, mountains, and there was something else. Deserts. So only 1/8 is to be used by human beings, animals, and nature, plants. Of this 1/8, we humans take 2/3 for ourselves, leaving only 1/3 to wild animals and wild nature. Our 2/3 we cover mainly with concrete, plastic and steel for buildings, transport and agriculture mainly. Unfortunately, all of these materials, plastic, steel and concrete, are among, when you produce them and when you put it onto the earth, are amongst the worst polluters and the worst emissioners of CO2. And that means we're not only changing the surface of the earth, we're also changing the atmosphere around it. And that is very important too. So, what can we do? What should we do? In 1972, the Club of Rome, who had only been founded a few years before that date, published their first report. Now, I'm sure you know the Club of Rome is a group of internationally influential people who get together, and I would like to quote to you why they got together, what was the aim of their getting together, and I quote, to address the multiple crises facing humanity and the planet. And in 1972, they published their first ever report. And the title of this report was The Limits of Growth. That is 50 years ago. Just imagine if we had taken the report seriously, we wouldn't be where we are. Most people didn't take notice of the report. I, though, remember very distinctly because my late ex-husband was an engineer and he was very interested in the natural sciences. And I can see us sitting at breakfast in our first apartment that we ever shared, very small place, our first. And at breakfast, he telling me excitedly about this report 50 years ago. If only we had taken it seriously. Now, it's late. Some scientists say it's 5 to 12. Some say it's 12 o'clock. Most people I know, even I would think all of the people I know, would agree that something has to be done immediately. But most of them, I think, would agree that those in power, those with the influence, the big ones, they should be doing something. I don't agree with that. Well, of course, they should do something too, but I think each and every single person, you and I, every day and every minute, we've got to think about what we're doing, and we've got to change our behavior. We have to take responsibility and not push the responsibility on to those in power. We are the consumers, 7.5 billion people. And next time we meet, I shall make you my suggestions of what we could do daily. And maybe you start thinking about that too. Bye for now.